Good day and welcome to another episode of Grad School Buddy. Today I have one of my favorite people in the world. His name is Anthony Nwanze. I'll let Anthony tell us a bit about himself and then we'll get right into today's episode. Anthony, please let us meet you.
Hi, Billy. As I said, my name is Anthony Nwanze. I'm from Delta State, Nigeria, but I stay in Lagos. I'm an economist here. I graduated from the Department of Economics, University of Nigeria, and thereafter I've had a couple of experiences in both the private and public sector as a research analyst and a product manager. So currently I'm doing a lot more like writing product requirements, but on the side, I actually care about development issues and poverty and equality in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Maybe because I know a little bit about you, but I think you also forgot to plug in that you curated a very beautiful opportunity with one of your classmates from undergrad, where you guys doing your NYSC helped kids from low-income homes. You kind of put together an education program for kids from low-income families. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. So in 2019, before that, growing up, I went to a very good school. I went to school with very high quality in Lagos, which is St. Francis Catholic Secondary School. But the tuition fees were so high. But my parents, nevertheless, they wanted me to actually get the best possible education. So I struggled so much. Sometimes I'm always being sent back home for not paying my school fees, and having to face that disgrace sometimes puts me in a very bad condition. So it lingered on because I came from a very like a middle income family, and so we struggled all the way to university, and I had the biggest blow in my life in second year. I lost my father as the breadwinner. So it's been a very all about hustle and bustle throughout my education journey. So in 2019, when I was posted for the NYSC program, which is a mandatory program in Nigeria, I also faced that. I also saw this again in the local community where I was posted to. So it was kind of a reminiscence of what I had faced in my younger days. Then I decided to create an initiative where I can actually help change the narrative of these children who couldn't afford to get quality education. So in 2019, I met a friend of mine who was my colleague in the university, and I spoke to her about creating an initiative where we could actually raise funds for children and also do a couple of advocacy against child marriage in northern part of Nigeria. And ever since, we've been able to raise a couple of funds for a set of children, and some of them are back to school now. Majority of them are back to school. So yeah, thanks.
That's really cool. I think it was very beautiful that you were able to draw from your personal experience, and you were able to see kids who you felt were going through similar things and you were able to come through for them. I think that's a very cool thing that you started. And, because I just want to kind of reintroduce you and talk about why I felt it to be very important to have you on this episode. So I know that there are many Nigerians who are, number one, it's like you work in a metropolitan area like Lagos, you have to go, you live in a very far location, and then you have to go from your house to work every day. And then you also live in a place where people are trying to tell you that, hey, you have to go to graduate school, and somehow you have to combine all of that. And so I knew that Anthony is somebody who has applied to graduate school. He wanted to share his perspective so that people will get an idea of how he has been able to balance working full-time in Lagos and applying for graduate school. So one thing I want to ask you, Anthony, is you said that during your NYSC, you were posted somewhere and, you saw these kids who you felt really needed money to go to school, and that kind of influenced the program that you did. Would you say that also influenced the choice of a master's program for you? Or have you always wanted to get your master's degree?
Thank you very much for that interesting question. But yes, most definitely, my experience with these children actually, and my undergraduate background obviously actually defined the kind of program I want to do for masters. So I obviously I realized that some of these factors in Nigeria that affect the how high illiteracy rate or low access to quality education wasn't just money. Some were based on policy, things that I couldn't actually control at that point in time in my life. So I realized that, yeah, I think I really need to get more into policy formulation process in Nigeria because to get into this process, you have to have a very high, there's a certain level of skill you must have to get this, and the best way to get this is through a master's program, and that's what informed my decision to actually read the development economics, having graduated with an undergraduate degree in economics. So I decided to go further in my economics profession, get more skills and knowledge about policy formulation process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, how you decided on a course and how you were able to navigate that process of finding what you wanted to do your master's in. So I have a few questions. Some have to do with, your undergraduate days, and some have to do with where you are now. So when you were introducing yourself to us, you said that you're a research analyst and program manager. And I'm just curious as to whether you knew these roles existed when you were in undergrad. And did you also take up these roles because you knew that in the long run, they'll be beneficial to you as you apply for grad school? Or is it just the situation of, like you're figuring it out as you go?
Okay. So yeah, in the university, I was privileged enough to be close to my lecturer. Actually, brought me to the research space. So yeah, I actually knew about the profession of research assistant because I actually worked very closely with him in researching some economic issues. But product management was actually new to me, and I didn't think I would actually land in product management because I wanted to work in a think tank, which is research inclined. I wanted to work as a research analyst and grow that ladder to becoming maybe a senior policy analyst or so. So, but as life will have it now, COVID came and it's not place to but reshuffled, we deployed me back to Lagos right now. Because at that point in time, when I was a research um, analyst, I was actually working in an NGO also in Abuja during my NYS. So, but the COVID made me go back home and I actually got Lagos, which is mostly private sector dominated. So I found myself in the product management, which is actually interesting because I feel there's a nexus between the public and private sector in finding solutions to development issues. Yeah. So I believe we can actually draw from data and technology and also combine with research and economics to find a sustainable solution to our development concerns in Nigeria and Africa. So yeah, that's basically it.
I love how put together, your plan seem. You seem like you've really gotten into your product management / analyst role. And it's not just a job for you. It's like, I understand what I'm supposed to be doing and I enjoy doing it. That's the sense I get. And I think it's very nice and rare to see that. I wondered if you mind telling us what a day in the life of a product analyst is, because sometimes I want to believe that once in a while, people will find episodes of Grad School Buddy, and some of the people who might find these episodes are people who are just leaving undergraduate. So, what would you tell them is something that you do day to day for people who they would want to become product analysts or product managers, but they don't really know what skills they need or what their day to day might be? Do you mind sharing, what an average
Yeah,
day in your life is?
very much. I would like to share that. So yeah, as a product manager, it's a very, very insightful um, career because you are basically building an idea from scratch so the idea is implemented. So basically, my supervisor just comes into the office. And the private sector is a place where they like to encourage constant thinking and like innovation. So he wakes up in the morning and say, "Oh, Anthony, I want to see you in the office first thing tomorrow morning." And I walk into his office and he's like, "Wow, do you know he was thinking about an idea of how people can actually, because in Lagos Island, there's a problem um, like scarcity of water. There's no access to clean water here.
Yeah.
So he comes up and says, "Oh, he thinks he has a solution to that, and if we can like create a technology that will solve this problem." I'm like, "Wow!" Oh, so he tells me his idea and the solution,
Mm-hmm.
and tells me to build a product requirement document,
Yeah.
and that would be. He doesn't just tell me immediately. That would be like after a session of brainstorming. Even sometimes I grab my laptop and we stay in the office and research on facts and figures and look at consumers problem and their wants. So basically, the first process is to actually do your customer research, which can be actually elongated sometimes. It can be so sometimes it's actually short. And the next thing you have to do after this research and brainstorming is to write a product requirement document. And that's basically how the app or the technology will work. So you are basically trying to define user stories, what the user wants to do in the app, and how the you want to like write user journeys and roadmaps. So you start like saying, oh, normally you want to get into an app, you actually log in. Then what does the consumer want to see, or what does the user want to see? Maybe he wants to see a place where he has to subscribe for water, or you want to do a P2P model towards solving water issues, because mostly on the mainland there's no problem of water. They have good water. But on the island there's no water, so it's like trying to merge people who have like water tankers, vehicles, and they have clean water, and so people who do not have water on the mainland or the island, yeah, and we are trying to bring them together in the marketplace. So you can just subscribe for water and they actually supply water to you. Where instead of actually looking for water every day, trying to find water every day. So you just have like a subscription for water also, just like how you subscribe for Netflix. You understand? So that's basically, so I go back to my office and meet my team and we try to like design how the app will work. And basically that's all how
Yeah.
we go along and up to the implementation process. So my day is just very like interesting because it's all about brainstorming ideas and trying to implement it into an actionable solution.
Okay, thank you. I think you have a very exciting day. It seems like a very exciting day juggling between the mainland and the island. And talking about juggling between the mainland and the island, I have no, before I get to that point, I actually have one question based on what you just said. You talked about the fact that a lot of times, working as a product analyst can be a very complicated process. And you also talked about the fact that, a lot of times you have to tell consumer stories. You kind of have to understand the limitations consumers have and be able to tell that story. So if somebody was preparing to be a product analyst, what skills would you tell them, would you advise them to develop?
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. I was supposed to answer that in the previous question. So yeah, for product management, aside aside you like brainstorming, your primary role is actually to actually coordinate the development team, data science team, marketing team support. So you're like the central figure in all this. So first of all, you will need communication skills because you can't manage this diverse set of teams without having good communication and leadership skill, team playing skill. So you also need because you can't actually go and start like being emotionally insensitive and maybe try to ruin someone's day. Then also you also need like hard skills like data visualization skills. You need data analytical skills because you are actually doing research, you are actually looking at the market, You're trying to find um, form hypotheses and answer some kind of research questions. Then you need documentation skills because you'll be writing the log and you document them very well. Um, some people will say it's safe to have basic programming skills. So because you're working with developers and you know in and out of everything they are doing, so you could just take a boot camp, introductory classes on basic programming skills. Yeah. You also have to learn how to manage stakeholders, which is part of the communication skills also. Then yeah, then a little software skills here and there. Like you have to know how to use the Google Doc. You have to know how to use some kind of apps like Confluence, Trello, Jira. Yeah. So let me know those so deep. Thank you.
Almost so technically, you just have to be a tech bro.
No, semi-tech bro.
Okay. So now I'm sorry to take you back to this distance thing,
No
but
problem.
you're one of the people I know who live really far from work. And
Yeah.
in talking about distance, I'm also going to shift the gear a little bit and talk about the grad school application. So, first of all, I know that you go from Egbeda to Lekki to work, and I know that
Yeah.
that is quite a distance, and you have to juggle that with putting your best at work and also giving your grad school applications the best because I mean they cost time and they cost money, and you don't want all the effort to be a waste. So I don't even know how to say how have you handled it because if I say how, I'm sure there's probably not one way that you have done it. But what has the experience been in general? You know, how have you when you wake up in the morning and you have to balance the two things that particular day? What goes through your mind and how are you able to navigate the journey?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's popular knowledge that Lagos is really like a stressful place. So in cities where there are less traffic, the you wake up around maybe 5, 6, you go for a jog, and um, you come back home, you eat breakfast, and you take a walk to the office, or you enter a cab or a taxi. Anyways, that's not really the case in Lagos. In Lagos, okay, before I talk about the case in Lagos, you know that all these activities in the morning, they they contribute to how your day will go because there's this popular saying that your day may probably go how your day started. So if you
Yeah.
start the day drinking beer, obviously you know how the day will go. If you start the day probably doing a mental exercise, you're going to and you have a lot of enthusiasm for the day. So
Yeah.
in Lagos, which is a not a really great case, you wake up around 5 or 4 o'clock, and the next thing you're having your shower and hustling to get the the first bus or available bus to go to Lekki, that is the island. And you spend about 3 hours on the road. So at that point in time, you've not done any enthusiastic activity or anything to boost your enthusiasm. All you've done is like go through stress for 3 hours, and it's almost like it's almost very easy to determine how the rest of the day will be. So I'm not saying the day is so bad, but it would have been better if one would wake up very much enthusiastic and highly like with so much energy and power to go on your daily task. So it's actually very challenging, because especially as a product manager, you want to go to the office well pumped, like with your full mental capacity to think and brainstorm on new ideas or situations that you face. So it's really been like challenging, but yeah, we're coping with the. So yeah, and also lastly, before I conclude, you have to also combine this with like your personal dreams. So yeah, you give your employer the stipulated time on your contract. You work from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and after that, you now start to face your dreams or what you want to do for your long term. And you can imagine what's when someone's starting this around 5. You sometimes you have to go home immediately, and you go home and you spend another 3 hours on the road. You get home around maybe 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and you're so exhausted. So there's barely enough time to like plan your long-term goals. Only probably in the weekends where you're also tired from the weekday. So that's basically the situation right now, and how that's been over the last 2 years for me.
That's really, really crazy. So I lived in PH as a semi-adult. And I know that we used to have a little traffic on our road sometimes, and it really drive me crazy. But every time I visited anybody in Lagos, I would always wonder how you guys would cope. So after you go to work, first of all, you wake up at 5 a.m. and you go to work, you spend 8 hours working, and you spend another 3 hours going home. By the time you get home, normally it's okay to feel tired at that point because you're exhausted from everything you've done during the day.
Yeah.
So, how do you find the strength to apply to graduate school? Because I know there is an entire process that it involves. There is the part where you have to take exams. There's the part where you probably have to reach out to professors. And I would also love, if you don't mind, I would love for you to share with us the process of going through an entire application cycle and getting all rejections, or getting an acceptance that is such that you can't really accept it because the financial aid that you have gotten, what you have at the moment, you can't really match it to go to the school that you want to. So how have you navigated that process of feeling physically and emotionally tired from a day's work in Lagos, but then going home and being able to still motivate yourself and say, you know what, brand new year, brand new application cycle, I will keep applying. What has kept you going?
Okay. This is one interesting question, I must say, but I will try to reduce the story or the explanation about this process. So basically, from just right out of undergraduate school, I had it in mind to get 1 or 2 years experience or 1 year experience and actually apply to a graduate school program. And if you look at I've applied for graduate school program for about two years right now, and I can say the process is not a simple process. It's not an easy process. It's a very rigorous and energy taking process. So from the start, where you have to get application fee, where you have to pay for application fees, which can be very, very very expensive, or you have to write long emails and applications to actually get the application fee, up to the moment where you have to make the best. That's after you've actually done this rigorous search for schools that will actually give you that suit your interests, suit your career plans, and will actually give you the right financial um, scholarship to undertake the program. So then you actually have to go through the process of meeting professors on time, writing your motivation letters, taking a few programs, and taking a few exams also, online courses, a lot of processes. Then that's basically majority of what you need for graduate school. So when I was in Lagos, I had to go through this same process. And as I've said earlier, you know how my days are. Like, they're always very stressful from when I wake up to when I get back home around 9. But um, I believe that as humans, we actually adapt to our environment, if not immediately, but sometime like closer. You adapt to your environment and you try to develop a resilient character behavior towards your environment, especially when you have like goals and dreams. So yeah, I do tell myself when I get back home that yes, I have this goal, I have this plan, I want to go to graduate school, then I must apply. and I must actually tick off an item off my checklist. So yeah, I create a checklist and I make sure that at least I do less mental required activities when I come back home. So when I come back home, what I'm gonna do is just speak to my professors, um, do a little bit of research again about the school, then mental, then activities on my checklist that actually require serious mental attention. I prioritize them very much on my weekend. So basically, if you have an exam to take, if you have an essay to write, weekends in Lagos are like they're one of the best time for me to write, where I have a cool head and a clear mind, a clear line of thought. I write them during my weekends and probably read for any exam I'm preparing for during this time. So during the weekdays also um I get all the other requirements, like probably my CV, my transcript, all this I just need to like adjust. Then my transcript I just need to apply to my school. So these are um, other things I do when I do not require so much mental energy. Then those are require mental energy. Yeah, I do them during the weekend. So that's how I've been able to do it. I don't know if they've I've been I don't know if they've worked, but I've gotten a few rejections, but also I've gotten few good offers too. That if not of my financial condition, I could have actually like at least considered it that because I really wanted to go to graduate school, and the only way for me to go to graduate school is to get a fully funded scholarship. So I felt bad about the outcomes, and but what I do tell myself is. Yeah, this is not what I want. I'll take a little break to fuel because a rigorous process. You can't just be doing remove, and be getting low quality application. So I take a little break where I rest for a couple of weeks. That will lead into the next application calendar. Then I reflect on what I could do better to probably increase my chances of getting a fully funded scholarship. Probably to go for another volunteering program or to do something extra, take another online course. So these are the part of the process that lead me onto the next application calendar to get a better application. So over the years I've actually been able to deal with the negative results I've gotten by taking a little break and trying to like meditate on what I could do better to improve my chances. Yeah, hopefully one day I should hit the targets I set for myself. Thank you.
That's really cool. And that's like, I feel like you have such a resilient spirit to continue, to know, hey, I've gotten these responses that do not really resonate with what I want right now, but I will keep pushing. You also shared a lot of very important points that I would really love to talk more about, especially because I know that we live in a world where people mostly like to share their positive stories and not so much about the things that don't go how they want. So first of all, I want to say thank you for sharing with us, about how your application process has been so far. So you talked about the fact that sometimes when you get these responses to your application, you sit down and try to see, okay, like what can I do differently? So what would you say that you have learned in the last 2 years? What are you doing differently now that that you did something in the first year that when you think about it, you just want to cringe? What has changed? It could be either in your mindset or it could be in your preparation pattern.
Okay. Okay, for the past 2 years, I've actually learned a lot. For my course, I'll speak on some specific knowledge, then I'll generalize a little bit also.
Okay.
So for someone looking for to go for a graduate program in economics, which is more quantitative inclined, I learned that oh yeah, there are a certain level of score in my examinations I'm going to write. For example, either GRE or GMAT. So you have to decide on to put more effort towards that and put lesser effort towards qualitative activities, probably less of volunteering. Maybe you have volunteered in the past for like 2 or 3. Yeah, you can, instead of doing another volunteering program, you can actually just read more of your mathematics, and actually you can get a very good score that will contribute more to getting fully funded. Then generally, yeah, you can actually learn that I've learned that some schools generally do not give fully funded scholarships. So no matter what you do, especially in the private universities, not all of them give a fully funded scholarship. So even if you get a very good score, you may just probably get the highest they can offer you, but you may not get the one you really want to. Do you understand? So that's what I've learned over the years. So what I do is just look for specific schools that actually state on their website, or even speak to them, that they and know if they actually give fully funded scholarship, and know more about the criteria and what I need to do, or even speak to. I've also learned that I can actually speak to students on this in this course already. So what I do is just go to LinkedIn, I just search the school, then you see people that are in the school, and if I see someone that I can try to talk to, probably someone in my country or in my continent, or even outside of my continent, I can just speak to and ask, well, what can I ask them, what can actually increase my chances of getting this scholarship? And they may just tell me from personal experience, oh, this is what I did, and yeah, and I'll just actually will take lessons from there. So basically, I've learned that I need to talk to people very well, and also learn specific conditions that schools may put in place that will give you this full scholarship.
Okay, thank you very much for that very detailed response. So I want to go a little back to your preparation mechanisms for graduate school, and also kind of like your coping mechanisms for work. I lived in Nigeria almost all my life, and one thing I'm sure of is that you can make all the plans in this world, but the ultimate plan belongs to NEPA. So how have you coped with, finding, because I know that a lot of the materials you might need, especially to prepare for your exams, are online, either on your phone or on your laptop or just simply on the internet. So, kind of, how have you dealt with the disruptions that you have witnessed, whether it's in terms of, like lack of electricity, or it's just in terms of the fact that there isn't really an environment for you to, let's say on Saturdays, when you want to really work on your essays, you have family members hovering around, you have, an elder telling you to come and help them do something. So, how have you coped with that, and how have you navigated it?
This question is very funny and very interesting because Nigerian's national grid is currently down too. So yeah, it's
Congrats.
something that
This
something
is
we
the
can
fourth time.
yeah, no, I think you've lost count. So don't worry. It's more than four. So probably, yeah. So this is a major issue, and I don't want to be sounding like policy analyst or one of these politicians. I want to actually speak like someone that wants to go to graduate school and see this as a major challenge. Yeah, it's a very big challenge because you come back even in the weekends where you want to like actually prepare for these exams or anything, you are also pumped from Friday evening. You sleep early so that you wake up very, very pumped, and all of a sudden NEPA would like calm down, calm down, calm down. Then they take the light. So it's a serious challenge. I must tell you, like so for me, I have a very weird um way of dealing with this. So what I do is when there's no light, I know certainly they will still bring it one for maybe 2 hours. I just do things that don't require light, like so that when they bring the light, I'm not doing what I should have done when there was no light. So, for example, weekends we do our laundry, we cook, we do other um, activities. So when there's no light, I make sure I'm very invested in doing all these things that I know I have to do. I know that I have to do, but because and there are also competing needs with my application. So when there's no light, I just focus on this and make sure I finish up. So when they bring light, I am jumping on the chair immediately to grab my laptop and maximize the 2 hours, 3 hours they will give the light for. So that's one of my major coping mechanisms. Then for distractions like probably family, children run up and down, what may I do is my family members actually, I always keep them in line and check with my dreams. I don't hide my long-term goals and long-term plans. So my mom, my sister, they know that I want to go to grad school. So instead of them seeing you as one weird person always pressing laptop, probably they think you are playing game. I just tell them beforehand that say I want to go to grad school, and sometimes it may mean that I will not give you so much attention that you need. So I would have to like work more on my laptop and make sure I get. So they actually see this as a very fascinating, that is a big dream for me, and it's actually a very ambitious dream. And it's easy for them to resonate when you are not there for them or when you are not giving them your full 100% capacity. So that's basically what I do.
Anthony, first of all, I want to say that this is one of the sweetest things I've heard you say. And secondly, I think it's very important, keeping your family, your friends, the people you love in the loop, because sometimes you might not even realize that you are being distant and
Yeah,
you're really irritable because, there are so many things you need to do. There's so many things you need to pay for. So in that moment, you might not know that you're doing it. So, the fact that you're so self-aware to even beforehand tell them, hey, this means a lot to me. And I kind of need you to please, support me the best you can. I think that's very cool.
yeah.
Okay. So I know that you talked about the fact that a lot of the reasons why you're able to know the things you need to do when you need to do them, like what to prioritize and stuff, is because you keep a checklist. I was
Yes.
curious as to whether this is a mental checklist or is it a physical checklist? And how did you come about, deciding, what? I think what will help me right now is a checklist. Was it a formal process for you, or is it just part of the coping mechanisms you kind of adopted as you were navigating through life?
Okay. We learn very much as we grow. So my first application to graduate school, aside just applying to one school because I was bent on this is the school I want to go to, I didn't have any checklist. Actually, it was easier for me because it's just one school, so I could keep a mental checklist instead of written. So, so yeah, but this didn't really help me because I couldn't keep to timelines, and this reduced the overall quality of my patients. Yeah, but as I grew into the application experience, as I grew more into the application experience, I have a there's always a notepad on my phone where I keep a note of what I need to do for a graduate school. So as you figure out the schools you want to go, you're not just writing them into your notes. You're also writing their own requirements. Oh, this school will need a GRE. Some schools waive GRE. This school will need like 3 recommendation letters, and this one needs two. So you know that sometimes you may not want to like use the same recommenders for the same for all the schools because it could be actually like stressful for them, except few cases where the lecturer really wants to support you. So yeah, so I keep a list with me on my phone. So if I get off social media, I'm actually entering it to actually look at the ones I've actually worked on. So if I've actually worked on anyone, I just click on done and I
Yeah.
and I create folders, which is one of the most effective strategies. So I learned this from actually someone who has gotten a Commonwealth scholarship, and one of the top scholars I know in my school, my peers. He actually keeps a particular folder according to school. So he names every folder a school. So University of San Francisco, for example. Yeah, so you just create folders for different schools, and you know that different schools have different requirements, and they vary a lot. So you just create folders. So if you're going to 7 schools, you have 7 folders. And it's easy to actually keep track because you see, oh, something is missing out of this folder. Something is missing out of this folder. I need to do this. I need to do that. So that's how you like navigate the whole bulkiness of applications and the whole complexities.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So anybody that was wondering, this is an example of what your checklist could be. And, feel free to adapt it to whatever your personal needs are. I don't think there should be, a very strict approach to these things.
Yeah.
And so something I want to ask you, I want to kind of switch to the mental health aspect of practical application. Everybody,
Okay.
or at least most people, have dealt with rejections. I think no matter how much you win, when you get a rejection, for a lot of people, it hurts even a little bit. So, like how have you dealt with, sometimes getting rejections or sometimes getting partial fundings and you know that, this is not really going to work for me right now. How have you been able to deal with that mentally and emotionally? Especially because I know that a lot of spaces in Nigeria don't really provide avenue for people to feel or express what they feel mentally or emotionally. So how have you been able to deal with that?
Okay. I'll just tell a story which will sum everything up. So
Okay.
if you listen to me very well, you will notice that there was a school I really wanted to go to just after undergraduate, which is Georgetown University. Why?
Yeah.
Because aside it's a Catholic university, not because I'm so religious, but because I went to a Catholic Jesuit school, secondary school, and I know the quality of education that they have. So I wanted to go to Georgetown University. I was only bent on that. I did so much research about the university. I even emailed some. I emailed most of them. I emailed most of my questions to get very much clear about them, to get like the utmost clarity about everything I'm going to. I was even prepared. I took the GRE exam. I covered all grounds. I spoke to all my professors to write my recommendations on time. I applied on time, and I was already looking at the schools, the environment of the school. Oh, where will I be? Okay, this or they could post me here, so I'll be here. Then I'll go to my school. I'll go to the library. I was
Yeah.
reading so much about the curriculum. I was even fascinated that they even teach speech writing, and
Mm-hmm.
which is very cool because imagine I'm working with Okonji Iweala now, and I want to write one of her speech. Like I already have a very good educational grounding about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to Georgetown, and in 2020, I applied, and Georgetown gave me a half funding, 50% scholarship. And looking at it, it's a private non-profit school. You notice that this school, their school fees are always very high. And coming from
Yeah.
Nigeria, where the exchange rate is growing every day, you realize that at the end of the day, the money you have to pay is so much, and that is aside accommodation and welfare costs. So I was so sad because this is almost like a rejection because you're not really going. I I felt sad. It even led me to opening a GoFundMe account. Not
Yeah.
something I would not do because I grew up being like very shy. I was always checking it every day, and nothing was entering. It's like at some point I even stopped. My friends would like encourage me, "I can do this. You can do this. Always retweet it. Create content every day. Tell them about your story." I was like, "Oh, okay, okay. I'll write another story. It will be so long on Twitter, and I'll get one retweet at the end of the day." I'll be so sad, and I will stop
How did
again.
you feel, Anthony? Because I know that this thing now, you're laughing now. It's funny now. But
Yeah.
going through it then, I'm sure that it was really harrowing. So those times when your friends will be gingering you, go retweet them. Like what will you be thinking in your head? Will you be like, oh, mama, will just leave me? Or and then how
No,
did it also make you feel? Did you feel like, one day somebody could just find it and pay for it?
oh,
Like, what was going through your mind through that whole process?
Actually, yeah. So it was really crazy for me because many thoughts. I wake up today and I'm very enthusiastic. Like, man, I'll tag everybody I know that is rich, and I'll be like, one of them will share respond to me, and they don't really get back to me. Do you get some come to my DM and say, man, they don't really have so much right now, and looking at, I was actually looking to raise about $70,000, and people will not really want to like donate $20. Looking at the huge amount,
Yeah,
they will not be willing to just give away 20 because they really feel it's so small.
yeah.
So so um that's part of it. Then when my friends actually encourage me, I feel very encouraged. I'll feel gingered. Then sometimes too, I feel like, man, this is not working. Maybe I have to go through another strategy. So I felt probably I was being focused so much on the social media, not really on the ground. Do you get? I felt I could have walked into NGOs that probably give this kind of fund. I took a break, which was actually good for my mental health. I mean, some at some point in life you have to take breaks, and
Yeah.
you have to consider your mental health above, because if you are if you are not really stable mentally, I don't think you actually even work. You actually enjoy you achieving your dream. So you actually have to create a balance, and that was what I was doing when I took the break, and it was
But I
actually
do have a
great.
question for you.
Yeah,
So
sure.
me, you know that, sometimes we live in a society where people don't really like to mind their business. So
Okay.
at that time when you decided, you know what, I want to just take a break and reevaluate everything and see how I want to move forward. Did you have people who were always coming to ask you, guy, how far? Are you still going to grad school? And did that put additional stress on you? Or were you surrounded by people who understood that, hey, look, I want a break and I don't really want to talk about this right now? How was that aspect for you?
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I had a lot of people coming to my DMs because, of course, I put it on social media, so a lot of attention was like, well, everybody knew about it, so they were always asking for updates. Yeah, I understood that I came from a very good part of their heart. I don't know if I could say this for every one of them, but um, yeah, so I knew those that actually wanted to get a positive update. So I was just updating them. At some point, I told them, man, I don't think I'm going to go. So I would just like so when I told them I'm not going again, they really stopped asking me. But during the process of when people were asking me, I felt that, man, maybe I should be doing more. So it put me in a very bad spot. I thought those questions were coming in that, how far are you not making another effort or to get this funding or something. Some will tell me, must you like can you imagine, some people were like, this is so much money. Why don't you go and open business? They were like,
But
some
then
were
you
like,
didn't, business has business been something you ever wanted to do where you were like, I want to be an
like,
entrepreneur?
no, it's not even part of my plans. I prefer to maybe be an angel investor, but
Yeah.
actually opening a business, no. So some were like, some people like, so if they give you this money, then you can actually go and pay your school fees. I was like, it was funny to me
I
because
have a question for you because I've
okay,
seen sometimes like when Nigerians open GoFundMe, other Nigerians go and they comment stuff like, you won't leave us come out. So
exactly those kind of things.
did anybody
Oh,
come below your
uh,
GoFundMe to do stuff like that?
no, it didn't even get so much traction. So I tried those kind of tweets. So I think I was still in my safe zone. Yeah, I posted it on Twitter, but I didn't get this kind of responses. But I saw other people that were doing it that had those kind of responses. So if your tweet is getting about 1,000 retweets, you'll be sure that you get one of those kind of tweets. But I was never getting up to 100 retweets, so I didn't I didn't face that kind of negative remarks.
So this is a classic example of every disappointment is a blessing.
Yeah.
Okay. So something else we've also talked about is the fact that you've had people through this process, there were people who were asking you, you said that there were people who were asking you, who you knew were asking you from a good place. And you also talked about the fact that, there were people who have helped you in different ways, either, by serving as your referees. So how would you say, you found the people that have been beneficial to you as you navigate this process? If somebody were just starting and they didn't really have anybody in their corner and they were trying to build kind of like a group of people to lean on, what would you advise?
Um, as a typical Nigerian African man, I would say first thing to do is to lean on your family, immediate family. Tell as I've said, tell your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, or if you have cousins that are close to you, tell them about your dream. And they, what is very, the first step for me is not to go outside, like outside of my a very close inner circle and tell people I'm going for. Of course, this is what you could do, but I don't think it's the first thing you need to do. If you have a dream or a plan, you tell your mom, your family, then these are people that they have a back end time and they what no matter what the outcome is, then you tell the required people that you need to tell, probably your professors in time, so you don't come up as if you are bugging them or all of a sudden you need them, even though it's their duty to do it for you, they'll still come up with, yeah, you're just chatting me up now because, or you're calling me up because you need me. So you need to like develop a relationship with your professors prior before then. You can just tell your mom, tomorrow I'm going for masters. She will, oh wow, you didn't tell me. But then they should come and she will like party with you and but you can't just wake up in the morning and go and tell a professor that you want to get a recommendation letter tomorrow morning. You get, so you need to like build this kind of relationship and always know that when they get a negative response, you lean on your inner circle, like your family and your close friends, those that have supported you, those you trust. You don't need to trust new people, those that you trust all your lives. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I have three more questions for you. I know that we've been talking for close to an hour. So
Okay.
my first question for you is about, I know we've talked a lot about, working and applying for graduate school. And I would love, younger Nigerians to have this kind of holistic view where they are balanced professionally, but also socially. So at the end of the whole stress of the week from work and graduate school, how do you unwind? I know that you're a Manchester fan and you guys are trying to overtake Arsenal in
Fanta.
the Obono category. So
Yeah.
how is it going for you? How do you unwind?
Okay, Manchester United. I watch football a lot, not a lot. I watch Manchester United, so that is basically how I usually unwind. But recently, they've been winding me back into like I don't know how to say it, like they've been giving me these bad results, so they've not been helping me on to unwind. So what I do is I just randomly like I've even like booked a day self with me and my friends. We have to like select a day where we have to go and chill or go and flex. So it's usually month end when when Sapa is not really like when you have enough money, at that point in time. So I go out and go and flex, chill. At least the weekend when I during that month end, I actually have I meet with my friends and we we chill together, and this is a very important activity to do because applying to graduate school is a very exhausting activity. So you need something to unwind, as you said. You also need to keep your mental health stable. Yeah. So basically, some other people may try to do maybe go and play football, or maybe go and play musical instrument. Do what you love to do. But me, what I do is I try to go and watch football during the weekends, and then go and see my friends. We play and have fun. Yeah. I think those are basically what I do.
Okay. So definitely find time to unwind. It helps you feel better in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last two questions for you. If you had a random advice to give anybody who, they're straight out of undergraduate, they're thinking, maybe I should go to graduate school. What would you tell them to do? And this doesn't have to be, a rigid advice. It could be anything at all. What would you tell them?
Okay, I'll put this in stages. For people in maybe second year, third year that probably they have this foresight that after graduate school I want to go to a master's program. And I'll also assume you're applying for a scholarship because it's pretty easy to actually, if you have money to actually go for it, you can just go to any country and actually do your master's. Do you understand? But for those applying for scholarship, what I'll give you is while you are focusing on your academics, you have to show that you're actually diversified, you're actually um you're someone that likes to do many things and actually thrive in those things. Because from my experience with talking to people like Egbeda, you're going to do, you may end up doing things like you've not actually done before. You may get a teaching scholarship and you actually need to teach. And
Yeah.
if you're someone that actually was just a nerd, just you don't even relate to people,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really, you just go to your library and read. How do you want to cope with this? Yeah, sometimes teaching experience even contribute to the scholarship they will give it to. So you need to do things like volunteering. You can actually do something very, very cool that you are passionate about. If you know how to play tennis, you actually take it very serious and probably even compete in the country or your community and probably win or fail anything. Just make sure you are not doing only research and or your department academic research. You actually have to do other research, and also um, you need to prepare your mind that this is a marathon. You may not like me. I made the mistake of actually of being bent on going to one school. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
don't limit yourself with schools you could apply to, or so keep an open mindset and know that you may get rejections from few schools you really want to, but there are still opportunities you can actually exploit and obviously get a transcript and other documents in time. So that's basically it. Let me not get too much into specific details.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anthony. So my last question for you is we are just grad school body is in its first few months. I think this is our third month going into serious information dissemination. And so we are trying to make it better every day. And so one of the questions we've asked people who have interacted with us or who have come on this podcast is how do you think we can make grad school body better such that younger people, not just Nigerians, but people wherever they are who stumble on this podcast can find really useful information that will help them navigate the process, both before they enter graduate school and after they enter graduate school. So if I were to personalize this to you exactly, I would say, like how can grad school buddy make this process easier for you to a point where, like if you either go to our Instagram page or you find our newsletter, you would feel, yeah, like this was very helpful for me.
Oh, okay. Wow, this question. Okay. Yeah, I believe you guys have started on the right path, interviewing people because it's very easy to actually go and browse the whole requirements for graduate school. There are actually general requirements before you look at some school specific requirements. And these general requirements aren't, they don't really differ in schools. Every school asks for a motivation letter, a transcript, they ask for your BSc certificate and other stuff. So it's actually good that grad school body has actually taken this strategy of speaking to people and hearing their personal stories so that you don't let me use this popular tweet. I don't know if that I allowed. That
It
you don't
is.
aspire to aspire be like, so that you don't make the mistake of, oh, I must go to Harvard and it's only Harvard I want to go to. So hearing
Yeah.
some people's story that you can actually like get to another school and actually fulfill your dreams
Yeah.
still without going to Harvard. These are things that you will not put in the normal requirement if you were not doing podcasts. Did you understand?
Yeah.
So if you were just to list, you just list the oh, these are the requirements for University of San Francisco, University of Louisville. It's actually helpful information. But when people tell you, we all know that it's more deeper than that. You get, because you'll be shocked that you got a rejection when you made, in fact, like you put in all your efforts, like, and you wrote the best essays, you smashed the exams. And
Yeah.
I know a couple of people who got very high scores in engineering, they didn't get the scholarships. So this podcast is a very good way where you can people can try to tell their stories and actually and help people to continue to push, because I know that it's not everybody that got scholarship in the first attempt. So if you give up that first attempt, you may not get the scholarship. But if you try again, you may actually get the scholarship. So this is actually one of this strategy is actually very beautiful, I must say. And I don't think it really needs so much adjustment for now until we go further into it. Well, I believe Egbeda is doing a very good job. I trust that, and I'm very sure you are. This is a very like premium content that people should even pay for. But she's putting it out there for you to
Uh-uh.
flex.
Product manager.
So yeah, that's it. That's it. So I don't know. I'll have if I see any recommendations. I'm not really in the line of podcast. Like,
Yeah.
well, I know this. Like, yeah, I know you actually do a very good job. So for now, these are like this works for me very well.
Thank you. And thank you for those kind words. Be rest assured that if I ever think of an app, you'll be my
As
product manager. You'll be my guy.
she,
Thank you so much, Anthony. Like, thank you for taking out time today. Today is actually a Saturday when we are recording this, and Manu really just finished playing, and Anthony is a big Manu fan. So I really appreciate the fact that right after your match, you made time for this episode. I also want to say thank you for sharing, some advice about how to be a great product analyst and product manager. You really shared some gems about, the parts of your work that you absolutely love and the skills that have helped you kind of navigate through that process. And you also shared a lot of, vulnerable thoughts about, the whole grad school application, including how you can rope your family into your dreams and share with them what you're going through. I also really love the fact that you give advice on, how people should unwind. And, you give just freestyle advice on what people in undergrad can do to help them with this process. So thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, Anthony. I really appreciate this.
it's a pleasure.
I'd also really like to say thank you to everybody who has listened so far. I know that these episodes are very long. Every week I try to tell my guests, more like I try to convince them that we should spend less than an hour. But I think that they talk about so many important things, and I really want us to get as much information as we can. So thank you for staying with us for so long. If this is your first time of listening, we're happy that you're here. You can find us on the social media at my grad school board. We are on Twitter and Instagram. We also release newsletters from time to time. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast. Please listen, share, and subscribe. Thank you.